Call the studio at 572-9710 or WhatsApp 287-0971. Or Rev Up office numbers are 572-0383 and 572-0215. Rev Up St. Lucia, the alpha of radio.
Join the United Workers' Party this and every Thursday on Rev Up St. Lucia 97.1 FM for an educational and informative program, Meet the Opposition. Participate in exciting discussions from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Be in the know every Thursday on Rev Up St. Lucia 97.1 from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Join the United Workers' Party this and every Thursday on Rev Up St. Lucia 97.1 FM for an educational and informative program, Meet the Opposition. Participate in exciting discussions from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Be in the know every Thursday on Rev Up St. Lucia 97.1 from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
And without further ado, let's say good morning and welcome once again to the host of Meet the Opposition, Nancy Charles. Ms. Charles, good morning. Welcome back.
Morning, Andre. How are you doing, Andre?
I'm well. How about you?
Andre, I'm doing well. I noticed we are in contrasting colors today.
I tried getting the yellow one, but it wasn't fitting.
Oh, you gaining weight or you losing weight? Which one of those?
I think I'm gaining.
The food must be very nice, very nice. Wherever it is you eating all of a sudden, it must be very nice. So whoever is feeding Andre, if you're out there and you're listening, he says he might be gaining weight, so you need to watch the diet. Give him a little bit more veggies.
I think so.
Greens on the plate.
All that macaroni and cheese?
No, too much of that.
Yeah, that's too much love. So how's your family?
Oh, everybody is doing well by the grace of God. I think everybody's in good spirits, apparently. And so I'm grateful to that. Good morning to our listeners and those of you who are watching us on Facebook and those of you listening on 97.1 FM. Again, it's another pleasure for me to be here with you this morning. Coming from the south, it was a smooth ride. Let me say also good morning to those of you in the diaspora. We have quite a few of you always listening, always on a Thursday. Let me encourage you to share the link, share the live. So as I'm speaking to you even right now, say, hey, let me send the link to so-and-so. Let me send the live link to a friend of mine and tell him it's time to listen to Nancy Charles on Meet the Opposition. I also note, Andre, that I do have quite a few Labour Party fans who are also listening.
You probably have more Labour Party fans.
Apparently. Yeah, I say fans in both ways. Some of them are genuine fans, and I'm saying some of them sarcastically.
Better you than me.
But I always welcome them, because as I said, I try as much as possible to ensure that my show is very factual and that whatever I say here that you can substantiate. And so if they are listening, two things that can happen: they can call me and say, oh, what you've said there is not factual, and provide the evidence, or they can also carry on the message to the people and say, boy, I think what our party has been telling us has not been true, because I listened to Nancy and she gave the evidence, etc., and so forth. So it's either one or the other. But in any event, I'm very grateful that you are listening. Again, like I say, the only thing I ask both of you WP supporters and Labour supporters, if you're going to call, be respectful, be mindful that we do not call people names and say, things about people that we shouldn't. But I am very grateful to be here. As is customary, I do want to start off with words of encouragement. And I came up this morning, I don't know how I forgot to charge my phone last night, and I got in here and my phone was dead. The beauty of it is that because I prepared and I wrote down everything, I do have it on my screen, Angie. Normally I would take the phone to read the scripture verse from the Bible. I don't know why. Last evening when I was preparing, I decided to write it. So, I was trying to think of, what would I want to encourage you with this morning? And I thought maybe I should share something that is also very personal to me. And so if you have your Bibles, or if you want to reference it at any point in time, I am going to speak to you from Matthew chapter 5, verses 43 to 44. And it's a common verse of scripture, but it is one of the most difficult things in the Bible to do, Andre. And it says that you should love your enemies. It says that you should bless them that curse you. And it says that you should do good to them that hate you. That's
a rough one.
I'm not going to tell you that this is easy. And I thought about it and I said to myself that if you go through the Bible, whatever people think of it, people say it's the works of man, is a man that write it, it's not from God, etc. However, when I look at what I've seen, especially in the New Testament, because it speaks to an old era and the way things were done before, and it speaks to a new era as to how moving forward you should do things. And if you look at the moving forward, Andre, and all of us as humanity were to abide by what is there in moving forward and not interpret it how we want, but to interpret it as it is, I don't think a lot of what is happening in this world we would have had it. The cheating, the stealing, the wars, the war of words, the unforgiveness, all these kind of things, we would not have had it if we were to practice what is written in there. The thing about it is that, and that's why I also believe that it was not written by humans. Human beings will never tell you to love them.
Exactly.
Love your enemies. Our nature does not allow for us to do that. Our nature is a vengeful nature, that you do me and I do you back. You hurt me, so I want to hurt you back. That's the only thing that makes me feel better about whatever it is that you do to me. That is the nature that we have. And that is why it is incumbent on us to depend on a higher power. Because on our own, Andre, I'll look at you, never. But it is because when you depend on a higher power and you say, God, I want to do this thing, help me out, because really and truly, the amount of things these people have tried to do me, and you're telling me I need to bless them? If they come by my house early in the morning and they don't have a vehicle, the neighbor that is quarreling with you every day, they drop their dogs in your yard, their cats, their chicken, and they quarrel with you, they take your stuff, and they come to you at 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock to wake you up to say the child is sick, they want you to take them to the hospital. Are you going to wake up and with all good intentions, not grumbling and saying, but wake up with a good spirit and say, sure, no problem, and take them to the hospital? This is what bless them that curse you means. Do good to them that hate you. And sometimes, Andre, in life, for no reason at all. Now, maybe for you, it's no reason at all. But for the person, there is a reason. Because I don't think anybody wakes up and they just hate Andre just like that. Maybe it is something about you they're jealous. Maybe it is something that you did unintentionally, you have no idea, and they took it personal and they took it to heart, because I've had that as well. I've had certain people had certain things towards me and I'm like, what is the problem with that person? And then they tell me and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you, really? For that? And all those years you holding that against me? But you could have told me that and I would have just explained to you, no man, that wasn't so, or whatever. But these are the things sometimes people, and so they hate you, and the Bible says to us that we need to do good to them. I know it's difficult, St. Lucia. I know it is probably one of the most difficult things, and especially, I mean, there are some things, Andre, when you look at it, you say to yourself, I will never forgive that person. I will never. But the Bible is saying to us that you need to let it go. And in 100% of the instance, it's not because of the person, but it's also because of you. There is that feeling, and I'm telling you from personal experience, there is the feeling of contentment and peace that you get when you do it, when you do good to this person that you know that don't like you and that's saying things about you, and you in a position where you have to help them and you help them, you get this feeling of satisfaction and contentment and peace, and it kind of like releases you. When you learn to forgive somebody, the people that are your quote-unquote enemies, and you learn to forgive them and to let it go, you get this peace, you get this peace of mind, you're not stressed, you just feel this weight is lifted off your shoulders. And so this morning, my encouragement to you is because I have experienced it. I know it's not easy, and it's a process as well. Don't get me wrong. I don't know it's something that happens overnight. I think it's some things that you do over and over and over, and eventually you get to the point where you're fully able to let go. You're fully able to look at this person and not hit them back. You're able to look at this person and shake your head and laugh and say, Mama, that person really doing things. And what's that today? You know, it's a process, but I would advise you today, start the process. Start the journey, and you will see a lot of things will just change in your life as well. A lot of things will just change. You will just see things that start coming together, etc., etc. But this is my word of encouragement to you this morning. It's important that you do it, and try it, and you'll call me and you'll say to me, girl, Nancy, you know that encouragement that you gave, I did that to my neighbor, to some friend or somebody, some family member or whatever, and I can tell you today our relationship is really, really good. It was clearly a misunderstanding or whatever, or I just feel better that I have done that. Do you agree with me, Andrew?
100%, 100%. In fact, remember Jesus Christ was talking to the Jews who hated the Samaritans. They hated them.
Oh, yes.
Just like today you see the way the Jews are behaving with the Palestinians. They hate them
each other
with a passion.
It's like,
okay? And he gave a story. He gave you remember the story?
Of the Good Samaritan.
That's right. Because and the Samaritan, despite knowing that the Jew hated him, he helped him. So it's a powerful story.
Very powerful story. So St. Lucia, I think last week Sunday or 2 weeks ago when I was in New York, in my address, I also made it very clear, and I said that as well to those of you who listened. I said to St. Lucians in particular, that division, that divisive politics that have encroached for too long. Because, Andre, I grew up in a household where that was not the case. I had a Labour and a Flambeau when I was a little girl. But even in the community as well, the neighbors, one was Labour, one was Flambeau. And the time of election, closer to election, everybody gives you tikwa, they do this, etc. I can't recall those type of quarreling and mepui and people calling people names and people lifting up their dress for people. All these things in the name of politics. St. Lucians don't do that for no politician. No Flambeau, no Labour, no PN, no nothing. It's not worth it. You have a side that is the choice that you have. You choose that side. You have a choice to leave that side and come back to that side based on what is it that you see, what is it that you desire. But tomorrow, you need to be able to wake up to my neighbor and say, Selba, I know about it, way. Me anyway, no say neighbor, and move on. You know, that's what it was like. So do not hate people for the sake of politics. Politicians will come and go. We remain. Our country remain. Our love for each other remain. You know, our community remains. That is what is most important, Andre.
And you know, I think the genesis of that behavior that you're talking about, because you're saying when you were a little girl, that was not the case. I believe it has a lot to do with when politicians started suing each other and when politicians started calling each other corrupt.
I think so, because they recognize that perhaps maybe we couldn't win on policy. And I'm saying to you, when I looked at it, you look at the era of what happened during the time of Sir John, and all this, a lot of stuff started happening in 96, 95, 96, 97, when you had this new era of the Labour Party starting to malign Sir John. It was all about him. They started calling him names. They started trying to throw mud and attack him in various ways, etc. And then it just started. And then, you know, politicians started coming on the platform, and instead of saying, oh, Nancy, what Nancy is saying is not true, or whatever, they started attacking Nancy personally.
Exactly.
Who her mother is, who her father is. They started, and that is why a lot of women as well, Andre, when I speak to women and I say, but you're a good community worker, I think you can be a really effective person if you decide to, to become the parliamentary rep. And they tell me, bon Dieu, the kind of things, because Andre, they go after your history, they go after your mother, your father, your sisters, your family member, your husband's family. It's really, and people say to me, that thing is too dirty, that thing is too nasty. Politics is not dirty and politics is not nasty, people. People make it dirty and nasty. People are the ones who call people names, etc. And that's why I'm saying I chose that verse as well, because I saw, Andre, a doctored tape about a statement that I made. And now all of a sudden, things that we say in Creole parlance and language that we use. So I made a statement about Chasney being a non-mama. And the Labour Party twisted it to mean like your mother's man, as if it means something. And that is never the case. Those of you who speak Creole who understand that when you call somebody a non-mama in Creole, it simply speaks to somebody who's a champion, somebody who stands firm, somebody who's kind of like above the rest. So, Andre, sometimes when we play in dominoes, some fellas tell you, "Guys, I'm making non-mama sa, ou pas sa jamais game," where that kind of a thing, because they're strong at it, they play well. So it is in that context that I use the thing. But the Labour Party took the tape, and Richard Frederick and Yadi and all of them say, "Oh, I'm Chasney pa non mama, this, that, and the other," and turn it into something sinister that is not. Then they use a tape that Rick had done. I don't know, when was the last time Rick had his show? Rick stopped his show maybe almost 5 years ago. But something Rick must have said about me maybe about 7, since when I ran in 2011 as a candidate about. So they took that, doctored it, and made it seem as if Rick recently made that comment about me, etc. And Andre, I decided to listen to the thing and go under the live. People who have no idea who I am. Andre, the nastiest kind of things that you can think of, these people were writing about me under the live of Richard Frederick's show, because Richard was going on and why I made the statement, and Chasney is a white man, and we'll get to that a little bit later today. But that is the divisive politics that I'm talking about. You don't know me. You don't know anything about me. And most of these people who are coming, they don't even speak Creole. They don't understand the Creole language. They don't understand the background. They didn't take the tape in its entirety. They just doctored that little piece, etc. And to see the vile, nasty comments that people were making, it was amazing. But I'll tell you something. Over the years, I've learned not to take these things at heart. I watched it, I laughed, I scrolled, I look at the names, I look at the comments, and I was like, God, you're so good. And I just moved on. and some people ask me, how do you do it? I'm like, me? I am going to take these things to heart and take what these people say, especially when people who don't know me make up all these nasty comments about me. Water under the bridge, Andre.
And not just that,
just move on.
It goes back to what you said at the beginning. Love your neighbor.
Yeah, man.
Love your enemy.
Yeah.
Love your enemy.
I'm like, okay, no problem. Whatever it is you want, you can go ahead. But I am saying all of that to say to you that these things are not necessary. If a politician, whether it be myself or somebody, make a statement that you do not agree with, you can't say, I don't agree, you shouldn't have said that, I don't like that. You understand? Because I saw something, it was Father Albert who I think there's this story I saw on social media, and it also carried in the news, at Ramopoleon's funeral, and some song, etc. and so forth. And I looked at look through social media to see what people were saying. I think all in all, I mean, some people were really nasty, but all in all, people shared an opinion why they didn't agree. He should not have said that. And it's the same for all of us. I mean, sometimes there are slips of the tongue, Andre. And persons who do public speaking will tell you, I am not perfect. And sometimes when you're on the platform and you mean to say something, but because you're speaking at leave, sometimes something else comes to mind and you just say, there are certain things, of course I do agree, like they say parliamentary language, there's certain things you can say in parliament and you can say outside and can't say. It's the same thing. There's certain things you can say on a platform, but you can't say it on a platform, but when you're speaking to a friend, casual conversation, you can say it. And I understand that and I agree with that. And there are times when there's a slip of the tongue, but the lengths people go to manipulate what it is that you say, etc., it's amazing. But I think it's part of the politics. But in any event, it is what it is, Andre, and I don't fuss about it. So I love them. I'm saying to you, those of you who say all the nasty things about me, I'm saying to you this morning, I love you. I don't even know who you are. I don't hold it at heart. I look at you and I shake my head and I see it as pure what we call ignorance, because you're ignorant of the facts of what this thing is, and you're only making those statements because you support a political party, and I excuse you and I forgive you.
Okay.
I excuse you and I forgive you. But Andre, this week I want to talk about something that's very important. I was supposed to have a guest. Unfortunately, yesterday he indicated that he was not able to make it. But we do have a guest, right? I think I have enough videos that I've sent to Andrew this morning, who's going to be my guest this morning. The government of St. Lucia, you know. But I do have to say, I am still getting very, very positive feedback. People have asked me, when are you bringing Joshua back? They were so impressed with him. People just loved him. So Joshua, if you're listening or any of your family member is listening, I have to say to you, I'm still getting feedback about the show. People are asking me to bring you back. There's so much more that they want to hear, so much so a lot more discussions on the issue of education, how do we move forward, etc., and so forth. So
did you get any criticism? I heard one, two things. I heard a couple of things.
No, I didn't. No,
Okay.
I think all of it were positive. I did not get any criticisms, come to think of it. No. Maybe persons had certain... I'll go back on the chat to see if there was anybody under the chat who had criticisms about him and so forth, but it is what it is as well. I will say to you, Andre, no matter what you do, there will be persons who will be supportive of it, and there will be persons who will find, little things to say, oh, I didn't like that and I didn't support that. And that's okay as well. That's okay. We respect and value everybody's opinion.
And that is why it's so important, Nancy, to be giving facts on this program.
Yes.
Okay.
It is. So, anyway, thank you again, Joshua. This week, Andre, before I go into crime, and what I'm about to say is also going to lead into the issue of crime. Yesterday afternoon, it was, I think, I got a message that said that somebody either was stabbed or something like that somewhere in the Dennery area.
Napot.
Yeah, so I think that now brings our murder rate to either 60 or 61 or something like
60.
that. And St. Lucia, anyway, we'll come to that, but it's crazy. All right? But I also wanted to say that one of the things that people keep talking about and we're not taking it seriously, and it's not an excuse, but one of the things people keep talking about is that there is this thing in society where people feel, Andre, that the big people, the educated people, the people in jacket and ties, the politicians as well, people in various institutions, that these people can get away with murder. They can get away with all kinds of things, and the little man, before the little man the little man is arrested, the police is after him, etc. And to a certain extent, it kind of like breeds that type of attitude. It's not right, St. Lucia. It's not correct, and it shouldn't be an excuse. But we have to take it seriously. We must take it seriously if we are serious about tackling crime in this country. It has to be looked at from all angles, Andre. It has to be looked at from all levels. And so we heard from the Prime Minister this week that he finally said that the CIP report that has been overdue, and it's not overdue because I say so, Andre. It's not overdue because you say so, Andre. It is overdue because the law says so. The law says that annually, at the end of the financial year, and the financial year ends in March of every year, that 3 months after the end of the financial year, that there should be an audited financial report of the CIP unit. So whoever is your auditing firm, whether it be BDO, whoever it is, they have 3 months to present to the CIP unit audited financial reports. And in addition to that 3 months, after that report has been presented, the minister now has up to 3 months to table that report in Parliament. So when you look at the timelines, by latest of any given year, by October of that particular year, the CIP report ought to have been tabled in Parliament. All right? You can do it before, but you cannot do it after. I don't know, and I fail to understand why, during the Alan Shasney Reign administration, the report was, there was 1 year, I think the very first report was not delivered. Ernest Hiller called a press conference on this because he was the shadow minister for this at that time. He lambasted the then Prime Minister Alan Shasney about submitting the report and what the law says and etc. Alan Shasney learned his lesson. Every year, on time, partner had to bring his report to Parliament. The report was there for 2016-17, 17-18, 19-20. We left office in 2021, in July of 2021, and the report for 21-22 was done.
I like what you said there. Alan Shasney learned his lesson.
Yes.
But it just goes to show the importance of the opposition.
Yes.
Because maybe if he hadn't said anything,
maybe he would have just not taken his
Exactly.
time and dilly-dally, etc. You understand? So I agree with that. But you were the one who held him accountable at that time. All right? You held him accountable and ensured that he stick to the remits of the law in presenting that report, Andre. And today, 2 years in a row, you have given no reasonable excuse, because the Prime Minister gave no excuse. He just said there were some issues. Nobody knows what the issues. If there was an auditor who was already assigned, they did the report for the last 5 years. They even did the report for the last year we were in office, 21-22. Why is it that they have not been able to do the report for 22-23 and 23-24? What is the issue?
maybe it's because the opposition hasn't been giving them any pressure.
Apparently, no, but the opposition, and we have been. But here is the thing. This government, I can say to you, St. Lucia, and I think those of you who are listening to me can say for sure, that when the opposition backed last time and they said this, that, and the other, Alan Shasney jumped to his feet. He either came to with an excuse, he either came with the real deal or whatever. But you see, at the end of the day, in this era we are, Andre, ukapale till kingdom come. Government paka take on. This government takes nobody on. Nobody. Whether it be opposition, civil society organizations, nobody. They don't care what you say. You can protest, you can march. And I was going through some videos. I mean, it's amazing the attitude of Philip J. Pierre when he was in opposition, and how upset he was, and when they had all these different matches, etc. It's amazing. And today the tables have turned. You understand? But still, the Prime Minister said the report for 2022-2023 is available. But it will be tabled in Parliament when Ernest Hiller returns from wherever he's at. We had a parliamentary sitting yesterday. I don't know why he didn't table it, because since it's already overdue, I don't know why you want to wait for Hiller to do what? To mama guy people and pull out bits and pieces of what he wants to show and leave the bad part. Don't worry. As soon as you make it available, sir, we will peruse it. We will, no, not peruse, huh? We will read it and look at every line, every page, every number. We will do that. Okay? But next month, October, would be the deadline for the 23-24 report. So I want to know, why is it that it's only one report that is going to be available? Because if next month is the deadline for the second one, Andre, we should have just gotten 2 reports in a row. No? Make sense?
Now, when you think about it, Nancy, wouldn't that be a great day when, for example, you have the incumbent, okay, who's supposed to table this report, which hasn't been done? Wouldn't that be a great day when, if the Labour Party is in power and you have somebody like Ernest Hiller, who was giving your party a lot of pressure, right, / the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister, a lot of pressure about tabling that report, okay? to give the current prime minister within his camp the same pressure and say to him, no, when we were in opposition, we give the people pressure. Let's ensure that we follow through and do the right thing.
Right.
And then in the same vein, if and when your party wins the next elections, right? Whatever it is that you're giving them horrors on,
right,
that when you get inside there, you be sure, right, that you don't wait for the opposition to say anything. That you in the party itself will probably bring it to the attention of those in authority and say, hey, we need to do this thing right. So I'm just saying, wouldn't that be a great day when something like that happens? Because clearly, he's not getting any pressure inside the party to table the report.
Well, Andrea, you and I are praying for that day. I think, if anything, one of the things I can safely say about the United Workers' Party at this time, and I'm saying at this time, is the fact that we continue to learn some difficult lessons, but some necessary lessons. And I think everybody on the team agrees that what we have learned in the past, and maybe it has happened in the past, but what we've seen, especially in terms of the Labour Party, that we cannot be saying one thing in opposition, and when we get into government,
that's my point.
Else.
That's my point.
So I know that this is something that we continue internally to repeat to each other, to say, guys, let's be mindful what we criticize, what we say, because when we get into government, which is going to be very soon, we have to act and behave differently. We have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. And as a matter of fact, it's something that we always say as well, that St. Lucians hold us to a higher standard. St. Lucians hold us to a higher standard. So my phone is back, Andre, so maybe I can look at the comments. And that's what I've been trying to do. Every time you see me on the phone, it's because I'm trying to ensure I'm working and looking at your comments and so forth. But the Prime Minister, I think...
So if some of these comments are negative, doesn't that put you off?
No. It doesn't. They are some very disrespectful underneath it. Doesn't put me off at all.
It can spoil your day.
Yeah, but I also want to bring to the attention of St. Lucians that the Prime Minister spoke about an audit, and a friend of mine, I saw him posted something, and I took it, and I really had to digest it and get you to understand that as well, St. Lucia. You see, the Prime Minister said he's going to do an audit on the operations of the CIP. The audit that is needed and that is required, Andre, is not necessarily or only on the operations of the CIP. So somebody comes, look at the operations and say everything is good and dandy, so there's nothing wrong, The issue that we have raised and continue to raise is the issue of the money and the payment and who gets what money and where does the money go. So if there's going to be a genuine audit, I want us to understand that the audit must also incorporate tracing. We call what you call an audit trail of every penny from the beginning of the transaction to the end of the transaction. All right? And I thought it was important for us to understand that, because the issue is the underselling of our passport, the legal requirement to pay for it. This is what we've always brought to the fore. I'm sure you understand from the time we've been talking about it. That's what we've been talking about. That the passport, somebody who applies for it should pay X amount of money. However, they are not paying that correct amount of money, and we don't know where the money is. Where is that money going to? There's no accountability of that money, especially when it comes to the Galaxy and the hotel project. All right, so that audit,
and I did ask the Prime Minister that question.
I did. I heard you.
He didn't give a direct answer.
I heard you. The audit must track the money from the investor to what we call an escrow account. And St. Lucia, when you hear escrow account, I don't want you to think it's a big term. Andre had said it very nice the last time. It's a holding account. It's an account where Andre has his personal account, I have my personal account, but we decide to go into business together and we're getting investors' money. So we can't put it in my personal account or Andre's personal account. So we create a holding account where all the money comes to. That's where we can track it and account for it. So I can't go and buy new shoes and new bags for it, and Andre can't take his little girlfriend out on a weekend spree or whatever. No, that's not what the money is for. So we put it in that account, and the terms and conditions are whenever we're ready to start the construction, we both agree, sign off, and the money is withdrawn. That's what an escrow account is. So we want to know how much money is in that account. Because Ernest Hille said during his speech to the nation that when they looked at the escrow, everything was in place. So that's the money that we left. What's about the money that he has to be accountable for? How much is there? Who authorized the withdrawal? How much has been used? And I think somebody did ask the Prime Minister about the hotel project and ask him, have you been down to the hotel project? And I want to talk about that as well. How is it possible, Andre, for the minister to say that the money for the hotel is not our money, it's the investors' money? St. Lucia, that's not true. The money for the hotel, I want you to understand that it's our passport being so. Here's the deal, Andre. The deal is Galaxy came and said, hey, I want to build a hotel in St. Lucia, but I don't have any money. So I am going to put a project proposal together. I'm going to approach the CIP unit, and I'm going to say to them, listen, I can build a hotel. St. Lucia can benefit from that. They'll get workers, they'll get construction, because we need more hotel room, yeah? And the way to build a hotel is I am going to allow persons to invest in my hotel via buying a passport. So, if you wanted a passport, Andre, you would just give the country the money and you get your passport. But here's the deal. The persons that Galaxy would target, he say to them, listen, I'm building a hotel. If you want a St. Lucian passport, you can get a double whammy, Andre. You can get two for the price of one. What do I mean by that? If you invest your money in my hotel to help me build the hotel, you'll get shares in my hotel. So that investor will get shares in Galaxy's hotel. And in addition to that, you'll get a St. Lucian passport. So you'll get two things for investing in my hotel. You get shares when the hotel is built. When you come on vacation, you don't have to pay. Your room is free of charge, whatever. You get dividends on your money if the hotel is doing well. And in addition to that, you'll get a St. Lucian passport. So technically, the money is still our money. Galaxy is just the custodian of that money. He has a legal obligation. Once people invest in his hotel project and gives him the money, he has a legal obligation to build a hotel. Not so, Andre? So it's not Galaxy's money, Mr. Ernest Hille. This is still our money. We've given Galaxy custody of that money, to hold that money and use that money to build a hotel on our behalf. And so we want to know, where is the money? Where is the hotel? What percentage it is? How much money did you collect on our head? Like the old people say. How much money you collect on the head of every St. Lucian, every passport that is sold, and how much money have you invested in the hotel, and where's the balance of the money? Simple question. Simple question, Andre.
Talking about simple question,
Yeah.
Ms. Charles, I have a simple question for you about the CIP.
Right.
I hope you can explain it. Okay. We understand that the program is called Citizenship by Investment.
Right.
Why is it that there is a part of the program that just does not include anybody investing anything? I don't understand that.
I think the next time we need to call Ernest Hille here, or maybe even the next time when Alan Shaste comes, because remember we inherited it. Maybe that one is above my pay grade. I don't understand that one either, Andre. But
Okay.
that one is a little above my pay grade. We'll have to reserve that one for those persons higher up. Agreed?
Okay, I guess so.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But I just wanted St. Lucians to understand that. So when Labour Party says that, or when supporters of the Labour Party tell you, oh, mahafuki sa so ka fait toute la ide sa, la c'est la Galaxy, c'est pas la nous anyway. I want you all to rebuke them and say to them, no. That money is our money. All we have done is enter into a legal agreement with Galaxy to have custody of that money, to have oversight of that money, and to build a hotel for and on behalf of St. Lucia. So he must build that hotel. So if he collects the money, Andre, he must build the hotel. And by the way, St. Lucia, have you all heard anything? You all realize there's an absolute silence from Galaxy. Just as Galaxy Papier Scotier, right? To Tout le monde ka ache se je galaxia. Nobody knows where Lescan is. Nobody know where Ying Jing is. Nobody know where Walter Tang is. Nobody know where any one of them is. These people have disappeared. That is another story for another day, Andre. But somebody, and I'm asking those of you listening out there, if there are any reporters, at the next meeting, please, at the next press briefing, ask the Prime Minister and Mr. Ernest Gille. As a matter of fact, hopefully he will come and speak about the report. Where are the people from Galaxy? Where are they? Are they in St. Lucia? Is there an office in St. Lucia? Where nobody can find them. Nobody knows where they are. That's another story, because if they disappear with our money, ça même kay a lot buy. Because Ernest like Philippe JP kay jeune l'argent nou ba nou they will find the money, Andre. They can't allow these people to disappear and nobody knows where the money. Hotel not finished. They're not happy. You see that thing in Le Paradis nonsense that happened or whatever? That's not happening there. They must build the hotel. You all got our money? Build the hotel. You understand? Build the hotel. But this at the highest level, Andre, nobody wants to answer, and that is why we're saying this thing reeks of corruption. Tout moun kay do abo bol na bay passé, because personne pa vle répondre question. Personne pa vle di mi c'est ça, mi c'est combien l'argent, mi c'est si, mi c'est. Nobody wants to answer questions. Nobody wants. Where is the money? Why can't you just account for the money? Why? In any event, they will account. There will come a day. There will come a day when they account. But again, I'm saying, Prime Minister, if you are talking about an audit, we do not want just an operational audit to show that this is this and that everything is okay within, the operations of the. We want an audit of the funds as well. We want to know how much money was received, how many passports was allocated to Galaxy, how many was approved. Based on the approval, how much money did they collect in total? How much money have they spent? So if they collected $1 billion, how much have they spent on the hotel so far? And what is the balance of the money in the account? That's what we want to do. 3 simple questions. How much money, how much money, how much money? That's the questions, That's the questions. But all these things, like I said, Andre, these things lead people to believe that them fellas can get away with it, so I can get away with it too. And that is unfortunate. That is so wrong. But when there's this sense that there's no justice in this country, that is what people do, Andre. People feel that there can't be justice for that one and not for that one. So people take the law into their own hands. People feel that they can get away with it too, and that they can do anything. Them fellas and this, that, and the other. It's crazy. It's really crazy. But St. Lucia, I have to say to you that this criminal activity that's happening in this country, it's too much. It's too much. Too many people are dying uselessly in this country. Too many mothers, brothers, sisters, Andre's friends. I mean, boy, sometimes sometimes we say, not only me, but some of us say, boy, them reporters don't have a heart. When somebody die, when they interview the mother, Andre, you see them crying on the TV. My son, he did this for me. My son did. I mean, I look at the one in Babono, that boy. They went after the boy 3 times. Mm-hmm. They really wanted that boy dead. You understand? They did it once, it didn't happen. They recently shot him, and he's home recuperating from this thing, and they break down the door, knock, and come in and steal. So how do you think as a mother you feel? As a family, as friends, these things are heartbreaking. And maybe to you right now, you might be saying, well, my involved family, but you don't know. You never know. Because, like we say, you can only make decisions for yourself, Andre. You can't make decisions for your brothers or your sisters or your cousins or your extended family. They may make those decisions to go into that type of life, so it will still affect you some way, somehow. It may not be you personally, but it might be a child. It might be a sister, a brother, a cousin, some family member. Mm-hmm. So
and also the brazenness with which these individuals are attacking people. You're attacking people in the presence of children, right? Either the children see what you're doing or they see the victim. Also, when you go near a preschool and open fire, So even if it doesn't affect you directly, it could affect you indirectly. That's why we all have to get angry at this.
That's true. Everybody, there has to be this type of outrage. But again, we learn from our leaders. Andre, I'm sure you've watched last week, this week, week before, 2 weeks ago. Have you seen any outrage by either the Prime Minister, who's the Minister for National Security, either Mr. Jeremiah Norbert, who's the Minister for Crime Prevention, either Virginia Albert Poyet, who's Minister for Home Affairs? Have you seen any outrage from any one of them? Have you heard them condemn this criminal activity and call on the criminals to stop this, etc., etc.? I mean, have you heard any of this?
Well, I'll say this as well. The only person I heard recently who spoke out was Leonard Spider Montoot, which is not good enough, because I'm sure you have other members of your party.
Yes.
Including the opposition leader.
Well, the leader of the opposition has spoken about it many times, to the extent that we've written letters to the Prime Minister, giving suggestions at every public meeting that we have. Alan Chasney speaks about this criminal activity and this gang violence, etc. and stuff like that. So we speak about it all the time. But I'm saying that the outrage, I mean, the last time when Alan spoke and people were saying to him about him crying and whatever, and that is the emotion and some of the emotions, you know, that he shows about this thing. But I don't know. I think we need to see more. Okay?
Yes.
We need to see more. People are saying that they are not safe. They don't feel safe in this country anymore. I'm sure you're hearing that as well. People are always watching behind their back. People are becoming more conscious of where they're walking, who's walking behind them, which vehicle. I mean, I heard a story about a guy called, I think it was Newspin yesterday, about somebody with the roads being so bad that the lady, when she comes from work in the night, can't drive her car all the way to her home, and then she has to park somewhere and walk. And you know, apparently, you know, them fellas, they always watching, and they hooked her up, took her bags, her money, her stuff. These are the things that are happening in this. We're just not safe in this country. Too many stories of robberies and break-ins, Andre. People stealing people's vehicle now. You can't park your vehicle anywhere. All night long, you're waiting to see if you had alarms go off, etc. You know, I mean, wholesale trucks. I remember when I worked for a wholesale company, and you send out your drivers, the van sales, who go and do the van sales, Andre. You'd go and do your sales, but now mostly every van sales have an armed guard now, because the fellas just holding you up, taking the money, taking the goods, whatever. It has just changed and increased the cost of doing business in this country. And I want our government to appreciate that this is impacting everybody. I mean, I don't know if you've been to Trinidad and Jamaica, and you go to these little shops in the communities, even in the town in Kingston as well, that every shop, it's kind of like the whole thing is barricaded, Andre. All the goods are displayed. There's a wire mesh and everything in front.
Really?
And yeah, man, you don't walk into those shops and just go. Like big supermarkets, you can do that, but smaller shops and things like we have in those, everything is barricaded. And that's what St. Lucia is coming to now, because the fellas will just come, jump your counter, take your money, take your stuff, and so now everything is barricaded. That's the state that we are creating right now. You know, that is not the St. Lucia that we know and love. I can certainly tell you that. That is not the St. Lucia that everybody is proud to say, I'm a damn proud Lucian. So I'm saying, St. Lucia, that the situation is out of control. The government is silent. They make excuses. They are clueless. They have failed in their basic duties to keep the peace and to protect our people. Yesterday, Andre, I was listening to Tim, and he was speaking about crime and the issue of crime and how it affects and impacts businesses. And he said he was going to dedicate at least the first couple of minutes for the Chamber of Commerce to come out and to say something. And a caller called and he said, are you calling from the Chamber? And he said, no, I don't want to hear from you now. I want to leave the lines open for the St. Lucia Chamber, because remember, the Chamber used to be a chamber, Andre. I mean, what's his name? Is it Mr. Phillipsy? He was a former police officer. I remember this gentleman with the grey beard. Monsieur used to come out. I remember him growing up. used to come out and speak about these issues, and that's when it was the Chamber of Agriculture, Group Foods and Agriculture or something like that. You had people like that who were fearless of politicians. They didn't care. All they cared about was the issue at hand needed to be addressed, and they would commit, like some flood would say, sans fave, sans payways. But today, tout moun ni fave et tout moun ni payways. The chamber never called. Nobody from the chamber ever called. And why? Because everybody is afraid to talk in this country, Andre. Everybody is afraid to talk because if they criticize the government on anything that is going on,
they're seen as supporting your party.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They're seen as supporters of the United Workers' Party. They are bullied by Richard Frederick on a Thursday. Their names are being called and all kinds of things are being said about them. You understand? And if they don't do that, then they lose their government, the little contract they have with government or the little sales government. If government used to buy toilet paper from them, no more, pal.
Right.
You can't talk. If you used to supply government with some paper or ink, no more. Because the word go back out. You didn't hear Andre's I'm calling about this thing and whatever. And Andre think he'll get sales. No more, they cut you off. So everybody's trying to survive. So nobody says anything. Never and that is it. Is this how we want to live in this country?
Well, I'm going to ask you, isn't that the modus operandi of all the parties?
Andre, one thing I can tell you. When we went around, and one of the reasons that we lost the election, one of them, there's plenty, but one of them was our supporters felt that we were too lenient with Labour Party people. We gave too many contracts. You heard Reno and Timothy. Reno was the one who come out and said, while they're talking about Fresh Start and say government was giving all contracts to Fresh Start, Reno Kajada got more contracts on the Alan Chasney government than Fresh Start.
You said that?
Yeah, man. He said it on Timothy show on Newspin. He said that on Timothy show. I was like, people can't believe it up to now. But that was when he started talking about the land, the Bannon's land and what transpired, etc. And he admitted that he got more work on the Alan Chasney administration than Fresh Start. And that was a sore point for people. But you see, when we were in government, we were not looking to see if you labor. I mean, obviously, you take care of your people, right? You make sure, if your supporters support you, you do a little something to help them out as well. But in essence, people were not looked at, you supply in government and you're not supposed to speak. Andre, can you recall, you don't recall the number of people who used to criticize Alan Chasney government? People were free to talk. But Alan Chasney got criticism, Jordi about Philip JP. Every day it was Alan Chasney. And these people today, they bad talking Alan Chasney, calling his name. The next day you see them government office come and sign their contract, come and deliver their goods and whatever. That is what it's supposed to be. A free society. But we're not free anymore. So I can certainly say to you, Andre, it's not so with all government. Because it wasn't so with the last administration. It wasn't so. People were criticizing all the time. You understand? But at the end of the day, this is what is happening now. This is blackmail, in my opinion, at the highest level, Andre. Because what you're doing is that you are stifling people. You are preventing them from talking because you are affecting or holding their daily bread to ransom. Can't be. It can't be. And we all understand as well that our economy is really, really reliant heavily on tourism, Andre. And so when you have robberies happening, tourists being attacked, crime is on the increase. Do you know what will happen eventually? The same way that the US issues advisories for Jamaica and some other, they will issue advisory eventually to say to the people, St. Lucia is not safe. You remember they had issued an advisory to say not to go to Marshall or wherever somewhere. You remember that? And people blew. But that is the consequence of a government not doing anything significant to help reduce, curb, control, manage the crime situation. And I use all these words. You realize I didn't say stop crime. You can't. But you can put measures in place to reduce. You can put things in place to curb it, to manage it, to put it under control. You can show force. You can say something. You understand? But one time, I don't know if you remember, a press conference when the Prime Minister for his hands is here. Well, I don't know. I don't know if anybody has any ideas, any suggestions, because it's like I don't know what to do again. A Prime Minister and the Minister for National Security. And that's why we keep asking for the Prime Minister to fire the Minister for National Security. He must, Andre. But the Minister for National Security is not performing. And to bring in a Minister of Crime Prevention, which I will show you, it doesn't work. Fire the Minister of National Security, Mr. Philip J. Pierre.
But is that the Prime Minister?
That's right. That is correct. He has to go. He has to look in the mirror, Andre. He has to. You understand? But St. Lucia, I want to play a little tip for you, because I'll tell you something. They keep saying don't politicize crime, this, that and the other. I try my best not to politicize crime. However, crime is a political issue, because the policies of a political organization called the Labour Party or the UWP is what is going to help to manage it or to curb it. Not right, Andre?
Mm-hmm.
It is. So it is a political issue. But you can't politicize crime in the sense to think that it is because of politics and this, that and the other. But your policies as a political organization is going to say whether you're serious about this or not.
So what do you think about the Trinidad Prime Minister saying he's tired of people blaming him for crime? He said that.
But I don't understand. You in the hot seat, sir?
Yes.
You in the hot seat? And Philip J. Pierre better not say he's tired of people blaming him, because we have to hold you responsible. You're the leader, Andre. You're the Prime Minister of this country. You set the tone. You set the budget. You put the money. You make the allocation. You set the policies. And when you were in opposition, you had nothing to say. Enough you had to say. I want to play one little tip for you, St. Lucia. Just one little. I have a lot of them, but I didn't want to play too many of them, and it's already 10 o'clock, so play that little tip. I just want to remind you one thing. What did Labour Party say when they were in opposition? Let's listen to this.
An escalation of homicides. 19 between June 9.
Can you bring up the volume so people can hear you? It's okay?
And 30 since January 2017. For the period January to June 2016, there were 12 murders, compared to January to June 2017. That's an increase of over or approximately 250%. One murder is too many for any one of us, but it's important that we take note of such the difference. And that's not only homicides. We have seen an increase in robberies, rapes, and violence. We are yet to hear of any new policy or witness any new program to reduce the crime situation in our country. The minister and the government seem to be clueless, incompetent, and confused. Worse, there is a growing insensitivity from the minister and government to a lawlessness which is pervading this country. The rising fear of our citizens is being ignored.
You heard that, Andre? Does that remind you? Does that remind you of anything?
Well, what you just said a while ago.
Doesn't that sound like this is exactly what is happening today? You know, my grandmother used to always say to me, and there's a phrase that they use. They tell you "uni lanka buit." You know what that means, Andre?
No.
It means that whatever it is you say, it comes to pass.
Oh,
that's what
goat mouth.
Yes. That's what the old people used to call it in Creole. They got this by only lankab, meaning whatever it is that you say, it comes to pass. Every single thing Joachim Henry spoke about then when they were in opposition is exactly what is happening now. And the man was so fictitious, he went and calculated 13 murders and 30 murders between that same period and show that there was an increase of 200 and something %. So they want to use big figures. They use big figures, Andre, to describe how the crime is out of control. And for the last 2 consecutive years, this year we're on trend again. We're going to record the highest murder rate ever in St. Lucia, and it is happening under who? Under Philip J. Pierre and the same Joachim Henry. Same Joachim Henry who said the government is clueless and now they're not listening. And that's what this government is clueless. The Prime Minister, and there's another tip that Andre will play for you a little in a while, that the Prime Minister said, we are trying. That's all we can do. We can try. Can you imagine, Andre? You know, we're trying and that's what we can do and we can try, etc. And then even Joachim Henry, I say to you, Mr. Henry, I wanted to remind you of your words, because this is what you said then. And this is the same Joachim Henry that went and disturbed a church service because he was so angry. I didn't think he read the part in the Bible where I spoke about a little earlier, Andre. He's an SD Adventist, or supposed to be an SD Adventist. So he should have a really good thing of the scriptures. When I said earlier that you should do what? Love your enemies and do good to them that hate you, and to forgive people. And he was so angry at Guy because people that tell you that, people told you what Guy said about you or something like that, that you left your home, drove and went into a church and people had to be pulling you and holding you back because say go me.
So wait a second.
Bad Guy.
That's the first time I'm hearing that. All this was based on hearsay?
Yes, it was based on hearsay. All this was based, Mr. Henry said that people told him that Guy said certain things about him and the death of his son, etc. and so forth. It wasn't a confrontation between him and Guy. People were calling him and people were telling him things, alleged things that Guy said. And the man was so angry that he drove, left his home. Opate with Bibla lesa? Opate shoja about crime tutse bayra ukadisa lesa? Left his home and drove to a church, and one guy is on the pulpit preaching et qui entend un church là il fâché avec tes parole pour tout faire il voulait gommer il voulait monter le pulpit là monter pour chebe ak hedi. And the hypocrisy of the Labour Party, you know, by the time Joachim did that, all of them put on their status, we stand with Joachim Henry, we stand. What else stand with Joachim for? Criminal activity?
And not just only that, it's based on hearsay.
Based on
that's the first time I'm actually hearing
yes,
that.
Man. Based on hearsay, because Guy would tell you he had no idea. And afterwards, it was when Joachim gave the interview and he spoke and he said certain things, I will not say it on air, but certain things that people told him Guy say about him and the death of his son, how he was contributing factor, all these kind of, nonsense stories and whatever. He say, she say, they say. Never heard from Guy himself. Although I think he did say he heard a tape or somebody played him a tape of what Guy said or something like that. You understand? You leave your home and go to a church and whatever. Now, Mr. Henry, I'm coming for you one of these days, I am coming for you because I saw something on Untold Stories and your name being mentioned. And up to a day like today, you have kept quiet. You think we have not noticed, Joachim? Pa mwen ki pa I notice pa I take Leona, ishmwe. I have it there in my archives. I have to do an entire show for you so that you can come and answer your name. Andre, how is it possible that an allegation is made on national television? All right? On national television, and audios are played of two young girls talking, mentioning your name in an alleged case of blackmailing of Ubaldas Raymond. And up to a day like today, you're a minister of government. You have not responded, said that's not true. I suing them, I taking them to court, don't mention my name, nothing. You think people have not observed that? Joachim, I have to do an entire show for you, my darling. An entire show. Andre, just play one of the tips, just the first one of Ubaldas Raymond. That's what I just want to play, that little snippet for you, St. Lucia, to tell you this is a precursor of things to come.
Of them. But to answer your question, 5 years later, actually it's not 5 years, 8 years later, is it? Yeah, 8 years later, I found out that there were some players based on the evidence that I have. You have 2 ministers of government currently. 2 ministers of government. Okay? And I know Joachim Henry was heavily involved.
When we return.
Answer your name, sir. answer your name. Eubaldas Raymond called out your name of being heavily involved in a case of two young ladies and a case of them trying to blackmail him. There's another tape, we'll not play it because time is of the essence, but there's another tape of the girls mentioning your name, how they sold the tape to you and what you told them, etc. And there's also the tape mentioning and calling out Richard's name as well. You'll have to come and answer your name. You all are government ministers. And Philip J. Pierre didn't hear that? You think he didn't hear it, Andre? You the prime minister. Has the prime minister ever come out? Let me tell you all remember when the thing came out with Jimmy Henry, right? Jimmy Henry did nothing wrong. There was an allegation that he was searched at the airport upon returning from a particular trip, and he had a sum of money on him. You cannot enter into the country with more than $10,000 Andre. It is called what do you call it again? But it's illegal, right? You have to declare the money. Jimmy Henry did not even have that amount of money. But because he was searched and they found an amount of money on him, and after discussions with the prime minister, I don't think the prime minister was satisfied maybe with his response to whatever transpired. Alan Shasney said, I ain't running no cabinet with all these things hanging over my head. I think Jimmy Henry resigned. Prime Minister accepted his resignation. Labour Party had that same Joachim Henry, they had another press conference on the head. Alan Shasney did the right thing, but they still held a press conference and saying all kinds of things. Based on this allegation, although Jimmy Henry did nothing wrong, but Alan Shasney was mindful and careful of the reputation of his cabinet. Hodi jou se premier ministre, non ministre souka kouyon blackmail, non ministre souka kouyon vol, non ministre souka kouyon crime, non ministre souka kouyon tout sort kalte bagay kini. Ou se premier ministre ou pa ka di anye, ou pa ka faya pièson. But you want to hold people responsible? You have no moral authority to do that, Philip J. Pierre. None. Which country would that ever happen, Andre? That somebody who was a former minister of government, who was being blackmailed, and he called out. He didn't say, I knew then, and didn't say. He called out the name of Joachim Henry. Up to a day like today, you're not responding to your name? You think, and listen, Andre, can you... Anyway, so you know the man is the minister responsible for ecclesiastical affairs, Andre? The man is the one responsible for the churches, Somebody who has been alleged to be a criminal, to commit a crime. And somebody not only alleged, but he also committed a crime by disrupting a church service, which is illegal. And he is the minister for ecclesia. So when you sit at a meeting, you can never take Met seriously? You think any church member, any pastor, anybody can ever take Met seriously? Why are we serious in this country? Where's our morals? Where's our values? How can you stand as a minister and stand in parliament and talk anything to anybody? You have no moral authority. Go on and say your name. Go and clear your name. And we want to talk about crime in this country. All these are the things that are breeding these type of criminal activities, Andre. All these type of attitudes and behavior. Because the Prime Minister, we have said to him time and time again, if you're serious about crime, start with your cabinet. Look into your cabinet. Look at the behaviors and the allegations. You do one of two things. Investigate them and clear them, or you fire them. Look at the thing with the police commissioner, Andre. Look at how much pressure we had to put on the Prime Minister. No matter what was said, he continued to promote the man. And today, the man has been brought in for questioning for allegations of rape and sexual misconduct. And not one, 4 or 5 of them, Andre. You understand what I'm saying? These people are not serious about governance in this country. They're not.
Can you confirm that he was actually at the press conference when the
he was?
The police commissioner?
I was so surprised. I was saying to myself, I can't believe that. But anyway, I know the background story to it because of what was explained to me. He was brought in for questioning. He has not been formally charged or whatever the system works, etc. But I just couldn't believe it. Even for me, if I was the man, I wouldn't find myself there. Honestly, Andre, if I was the man, I would have taken I would have given an excuse not to come to work that day, something. They're shameless, Andre. These people are shameless. They do what they do with impunity because they know they have backer. Philip JPA is their backer and will never ever take any action. So they're doing whatever they want. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. Let me tell you something. Philip JPA is such a hypocrite. And you know why I say that? Because he says one thing and does another. Let's play another tip of Philip JPA and what he said with reference to crime. Just about a year and a half ago in Vieux-Fort. He was at a town hall meeting in Vieux-Fort, addressing the Vieux-Fortians on the issues of crime. And let's hear what he said.
This wanton violence in the country. But each one of us must play our part. Each one of us must play our part. And I want to urge that the rhetoric diminish. The rhetoric of hatred, the rhetoric of revenge, the rhetoric of going after people, the rhetoric of personal attacks. That doesn't augur well for our society. It may appear to have short-term success, but in the final analysis, our country will remain. Politicians.
I think that was the one before. We played the wrong one, but that's okay. But I want you to understand that. I mean, seriously, Andre. And St. Lucia, I'm not even talking to you all. I'm talking to Andre. Let me ask Andre a question. Can you believe, Andre, that the Prime Minister is talking about the rhetoric of hatred and the rhetoric of violence and the rhetoric of revenge, that it needs to stop? Who do you think the Prime Minister is talking to?
I hope to everybody.
You hope so?
Yes.
Well, play that tape of
those in his party.
Okay, play that tape of Richard Frederick for me and tell me. I want you, St. Lucia, to tell me who is the Prime Minister talking to. Just listen to just this little one I took. There's so many of them.
But Shasta, you should be ashamed of yourself. You are a white man speaking to black people that have a history of colonialization, that have a history of being tortured.
Play it again, Andre. I want you all to hear that.
By the way, was that a recent program?
That was last week or week before.
Yeah, okay.
Last week.
But Shasta, you should be ashamed of yourself. You are a white man speaking to black people that have a history of colonialization, that have a history of being tortured.
Well,
okay.
maybe Richard wasn't listening to the Prime Minister.
Oh, does he ever listen to the Prime Minister? Who's the Prime Minister, Andre? Who really is the Prime Minister? Prime Minister Pierre, I know y'all are listening, you know. This is the same Prime Minister, Andre, who 2 years ago, and again, St. Lucia, I have all the tapes, you know. I have all of them. I just didn't want to give Andre too many tapes to play. But you remember 2 years ago, at a conference meeting in Soufrière, Andre, I don't know if you remember that. The Prime Minister was addressing the gathering. And the Prime Minister said to his supporters that to go in their face and tell them, you lose. You lose. Go in their face and tell them, you lose. You remember that, Andre? Not Philip JPA that said that. Philip JPA tell his supporters to go in the face of the supporters of the UWP and tell them you lose. And you telling me about, we need to tone down. So who exactly are you talking to when you talk about toning down the rhetoric? This is the same Richard Frederick every Thursday. The last time, Andre, I could not believe it. Somebody called Richard's show and said, Richard, that he hates Alan Chasney so much that I wish I could wake up in the morning and heard that Chasney died in the night.
A caller said that?
A caller said that on Richard's show, and I have that tape again.
And he didn't stop
That's
them?
the same. No, he laughed. He like, hey, caller. That's what he did. He laughed. That was the same night that Calix George called, and he called us house slaves because we supporting UWP. That same night. These are the things that come out on a talk show hosted by your minister who's in the office of the Prime Minister, in your office, and you want to come and tell people tone down the rhetoric? What rhetoric? What? Take a look in the mirror, man. Take a look in your cabinet. Go to your people. You have no moral authority to talk to anybody about that, Pierre. None. You stand on the market step and you nobody about Alan Chasney every single day, and you telling people to tone down the rhetoric. What is it Alan Chasney has done to you that you hate him so much? And when we speak about issues. We speak about what you're doing, what you're not doing, what you're supposed to do. We don't talk about you. But what is it Alan Chasney? Zoja alou Alan Chasney. Mama Alan Chasney papa to avay wed pou ni sa niya. Tapi pou zo ki pa to avay wed pou sa zoni. But pa jalou anom pou ki sa. What? I don't know when Alan Chasney became a white man. I don't know. Andre, you can pass as a white man too because of your color too.
But
this is crazy, Andre.
That's why
why are we having that type of division in this country?
When was that program? Because
he said that on Thursday. That was his Thursday show. This the same show that he called me and give me endless power because I said about the number. That same show on Thursday last week. Not 2 weeks ago, not 3 weeks, not last year. Last week. Okay? Last week it was. And you telling people tone down the rhetoric. When you and your ministers are deliberately creating division about black and white in this country. When did we become more black and white? When? So if you want to talk about black and white, talk about the haves and the haves not too. Because y'all eating and drinking at the expense of the St. Lucians who don't have. Alright? You trying to do everything to protect the victory so that your daughter can continue to have parties, wine and dine at Prime Minister's official residence while the people in the ghetto cannot get breakfast to go to school the next day. And she can get a job, too fat, too melee at CIP for only, that's what you said, only $6,000. While some people can barely make $1,000 for the month. So talk about the haves and the haves not. That's what you should be talking about. What is it that y'all are accumulating, wealth y'all are accumulating at the expense of the little man who can't eat? Who you've increased the price of bread, the price of flour, the bus fare, the price of cooking gas. Talk about that. Let me tell you something, St. Lucia. The Labour Party and none of the supporters of the Labour Party. I remember watching a show, Yadi show, my good friend Yadi, and some man called about Alan Chasney and said that what they should do, how they should either burn them or beat them with whatever and stuff like that. You understand? The supporters of the UWP. Yadi didn't stop them. In fact, he encouraged them. And the next day, I think it was a Wednesday, the Thursday when Richard went on his show, he said he support and agree with what Yadi said. You understand? And you're talking about the rhetoric. When he called Dr. Merle Clark because she wrote on behalf of the Medical and Dental Association a Zelev Flambeau, what about that? That's not rhetoric? Trying to create a division. I never see Merle Clark in no UWP activity, Andre. I don't see Merle Clark name on any. I have never seen, in fact, we have never even engaged with Dr. Merle Clark on any political level. She's a nephrologist. She's my son's doctor because he's on dialysis. I have not, from even before the letter, all the stories I have heard about what's happening at OK has never come from Merle Clark. Never. I have so many other people at the hospital who call me and who talk to me and send me pictures and videos. I don't need Merle Clark. But you call her Zelev Flambeau. That's not rhetoric. And you want to talk about crime? Let me tell you something. Lord have mercy. Callers, I'm going to open the line, but I'll play that last tip of the Prime Minister and we'll open the lines because I'm telling you this Prime Minister is not serious. If he was serious, you would not bring in a police commissioner, Andre, with the amount of issues that we've spoken about with the police. If you're serious about crime and you think that Mr. Verngard is the cream of the crop, you will never bring Mr. That's the thing they played. Everything is acting. Andre, are you aware that we have an acting Governor General for the last 3 years? 3 years you have a man acting. Mr. Charles Sumpani Hot. Upani Pierce pride. Where's your pride? Where's your dignity? Why are you allowing Philip J. Pierre to do that nonsense to you? A grown-ass man like you. 3 years you have Philip J. Pierre making you acting governor general every year. Acting. I mean, come on. Crazy. You had the commissioner of police. She was acting. You say you want to tackle crime. You bring in Mr. Vanguard acting, and that one is worse. 6 months. You expect Vanguard to do anything in the police force in 6 months? If you're serious about this thing, Andre, you bring the man on a 3-year contract and say, listen, you have 3 years, clean up. The first year is for you to assess, did this and whatever. Second year is for you to implement. Third year is for us to move forward. You understand? Give the man some time. But you see what they do? They pull your string, Andre. They're holding you like that. You're like a puppet on the string. So you're acting. So you have to do what I want or else I'll not renew your contract. A lot of the PSCs in government, they call me. I know. Don't think I don't know. I'll do a show on it as well. People within the public service are frustrated because a lot of them are acting, Andre. They put you there. So you acting and you have to do their bidding. And if you don't do their bidding, they're not renewing you. So you have to do what they say because you want the renewal or you want to be permanent. You want to make the little salary. You want the money. So you do all kind of shit for them. All kind of nonsense. That is what that passes for governance in this country. Everybody acting. We have a whole movie happening in St. Lucia. Everybody is actors and actresses. I can't wait to see the end of that movie. It's not going to be a good ending. I can certainly tell you that. But anyway, let's play the tape, Anjay. You were saying something before?
Yeah, I was going to ask, but I'll ask after.
Okay.
All right.
Solution. It's not a precise science.
Mm-hmm.
It's something the whole world is working on. You heard about the crime escalation in Toronto, Canada, where our solution was just murdered, a 15-year-old. We heard about the crime problems in London, England, where there are riots and gangs. In fact, only this morning I read about the increase in gangs, the gang situation in England. We heard about situation in the CARICOM countries. So it's not an easy situation. We can't come here and I can't come and tell you that I have all these solutions. We are trying. And that's all we can do. We can try because it's not a sign.
You heard the Prime Minister, St. Lucia? That's all we can do. We're trying. The man who said that he was the most readied Prime Minister because he had been Deputy Prime Minister from 1997 under Kennedy Anthony. And because he had all these experiences. Mais si vous écoutez, nous avons fait ça, hein? Because on moun qui dit most ready, Galeta Masha. Masha, where he represents, look at the state of this community. Up to a day like today, in 2024, in that constituency, people still have to leave their house in the middle of the night and go and use a public toilet. They don't have toilets in their own homes. And you've been there for 30 years and you call yourself a 6-star general. You should be ashamed of yourself. But people put you there and you were the most ready. But today, we're trying. That's all we can do. We're trying. And you're calling out every other country's name because you're trying. That's what we put you there, to try in. Try, Mr. Prime Minister, try. Andre, give the callers the numbers. Because
just before we do that,
yes.
I just want you to clarify something for me, really, because maybe other people may not be interested. We're hearing that Serenity Park, the name is going to be changed. We actually heard that it was a campaign promise to change the name from Sir George Mallet to Serenity Park. So can you just give us the story behind that? How did that happen? How did George Mallet's name get... Why is the park called George Mallet? And why is it being changed right now?
I am not too sure, Andre. I think it was Serenity Park before.
Right.
And during our administration, I think during one of the independence celebrations or something like that, there was a ceremony. Now, I stand corrected, St. Lucia. But there was a ceremony to rename it, I think, in terms of the contribution, because Mallet had been the parliamentary representative all his life, I think, for that area, whether it was the Sanssouci, Castries Central area, and so forth. And it was something to honor him. And because there was no streets, there's no street names that, there's streets after Compton, after everybody. And it was something to honor him. And that's why they had changed it to George Mallet. But it was Richard Frederick who had built that park.
Right.
And that's why when Richard, I think it was during a tenure of his UWP as well, and he had called it Serenity Park. And so I am assuming that because he's now back in government, he does not want it to be named George Mallet or whatever, so he's going to bring it back to Serenity Park. I don't know. For me, these are petty. These are petty political things. I mean, he may have campaigned and said he's going to change the name of the park back to Serenity. I don't know. But to me, in my mind, these are petty little things.
Okay.
Really petty political little things. If George Mallet deserved it, because Serenity speaks to nobody. And we've done that before, Andre. Look, I mean, we heard about Julian Alfred, for example, and said, look, I do want to encourage you, maybe next week when I come, to go out and to support and show your support, because I am trying, hopefully, to come up for the show. I'm going to be at the airport to welcome her home, etc. She deserves it, but people have said, why don't we name a street after her, name a stadium after her, name a this after her? And that is what we do when we honor people. You name something significant or substantive after them. So if the park was named George Mallet to honor George Mallet, I don't know why you want to take it back out and put it to Serenity just for what? Political things? Nobody can take away what George Mallet did for Castries Central and the environs, Nobody can take that away, Richard. Nobody, but give them the number.
Okay, the fixed line is 572-9710. Fixed line 572-9710. WhatsApp is 287-0971. WhatsApp 287-0971. We have somebody on the WhatsApp platform. You'll have to use your headphones.
Yes. Lots of messages coming in, Andre. Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling Meet the Opposition. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Good morning, Sister Nancy. Good morning, Andre. How are you guys doing?
We're good.
Morning.
Good program as usual, and I want to tackle the crime situation. I want to ask you, Sister Nancy, if you can help me and the St. Lucian public. What is Jeremiah Norbert's job specification as crime prevention minister? Because
well, I have a tape on that. I gave it to Andre, but I didn't want to play too many tapes. But a reporter asked the Prime Minister about that, in fact, at the press briefing during this week. And he said that his role, caller, essentially was to bring all the people who are involved in crime reduction together so they could have compiled a report. So the reporter asked him, well, where's the report? And he said, well, the new commissioner has given him a report, so that's what he'll go by. So for the last 6 months, Jeremiah has been bringing everybody together, not been able to compile one report, and now the Prime Minister says, oh, don't worry about Jeremiah, I'll go with the report of the new commissioner. So I don't know what's his job description, sir. I have no idea.
Because that is the most absurd and ridiculous thing I've ever heard. The same way, so Jeremiah is getting a salary, a fat salary, at the expense of the poor people, the poor parents who cannot even provide a basic meal for the children, the kids to go to school. He's getting a fat salary just to bring some stakeholders together. And setting up a whole entire ministry for that.
Yes, sir.
When people are suffering in the country. The same way Christopher Hunt was appointed a consultant at the Ministry of Local Government just to bring some town and village councils to organize them in some sporting activities. And Christopher Hunt is a consultant. I'm getting paid a hefty, big salary when people are suffering in the country, when people cannot even make ends meet in the country. The problem with the crime situation is we have a prime minister and a government that is clueless. There's no leadership. And all the bravado that they had in opposition. And you played one of those clips talking about crime. Where is the crime plan? You telling me that you appointed Vernegard. I don't know the gentleman personally. I have no beef with the gentleman. But that is wrong because you have Mr. Shalry. Why wasn't Mr. Shalry, who have had the experience in the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, who is a senior police officer, who have the expertise, the qualification, why didn't you appoint him police commissioner? Because Mr. Shalry apparently cannot do your political bidding, Philip J. Pierre. That is why you do not want to appoint Mr. Shalry. And that is why our country under this Labour Party government will not see any change. This Labour Party, all they do is petty politics.
Well,
and the same, so right now, people no longer feel safe in the country. That is the reality. And what hurts me most, Sister Nancy and Andre, there are Labour Party hacks who will tell you everything is hunky-dory and nice in the country, you know. When people are fearful for their lives, when as we speak right now, we have 60 murders. 60 people lost their lives under this current Labour Party government. And you telling me Labour Party hacks saying that the country is going well and everything is nice? Give me a break, people. And that's why we have to come out on the 22nd of September and make a statement on the boulevard. Because enough is enough under this Labour Party government. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much, caller. People are frustrated. Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling Meet the Opposition.
Hi, good morning, Nancy. Good morning, Andrew.
Morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Boy, Nancy, I don't know where to start when it comes to that statement made by the Prime Minister concerning rhetoric and name calling,
right,
and divisiveness, and I'm so surprised. You know, you give Andre example. Andre is lost, boy. I don't know, but that very example you gave there of Richard Frederick last show, where he was calling Alan Chastney white man and the colonial. In that same program, he had a doctored tip on Alan Chastney.
Oh, that's the tip.
Yes.
That's the tip
Minerva,
about.
Yeah, that's the thing. Minerva Ward went through it pin by pin on her live sometime Monday or Tuesday, right?
Right.
And she showed where she played the original tip, and Richard Ferry has a doctored tip, which he's making reference to, and he is calling on the name of Jesus. In all that, a doctored tip, and he is calling on the name of Jesus. And I do not know Nancy, but I realize there are a lot of St. Lucians who has absolutely no fear of the Lord.
I've said that especially, and let me tell you something, caller. I am so grateful that God is who He is, and I try not to judge certain things that people say, etc. Because I mean, I myself will be judged as well, and so I'm not perfect.
Oh no!
But I am grateful to God for who He is. He's forgiving nature, and He's not like you and I. That's all I can say about that. Because sometimes when I hear people call on the name of God, and in the same breath, some of the
things they say,
not the things they say, but the intentional vile things. Because there are things like you just probably make a mistake, a little slip, or whatever, but intentional. Richard Frederick in particular is very intentional. Intentionally lies to the people. He misrepresents facts. He twists and he turns it. Nothing truthful comes out of the mouth of Richard Frederick. Absolutely nothing.
Let me ask you, did you hear that doctor tip? Did you have
I did.
But this is going to be left like this. This is not going to be challenged.
No, but we've sent out the original tape, caller. The original tape has been sent out in the statement in its entirety that Alan Chastney.
No. We are aware. Yeah. But at the end of the day, these are slanderous statements made on a public forum. There is a law against that. I remember some person was arrested and the current administration said yes, this is illegal, and that person was hauled before the court.
Well, I will have to leave that for Mr. Chastney to determine, because it costs money.
This is a serious,
anyway.
But I'm saying in the list, a public apology and retraction should be asked, and if that's not forthcoming, then you could think about legal action. But this is so wrong. You cannot be slandering somebody's name like that on national TV and radio.
Well, caller, welcome to St. Lucia. Thank you.
Thank you. St. Lucia. We need to change St. Lucia. St. Lucia needs to change.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. Thank you, caller. Andre, but
we have somebody.
Yes. Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling Meet the Opposition.
Good morning, Nancy.
Yeah, and I'm just making an appeal as well to callers. that you can share your stories. This is an opportunity this morning as well to call.
Hello.
And
good morning, Nancy.
Good morning. I'm just saying to callers. Morning.
Hey, morning.
Yes. Nancy, I was listening to the tape. Well, I heard it before about the Prime Minister talking about the hate and the stuff. Everybody know me. I don't hide who I support, which political party I support. And have been working in castries and have been attacked by labels, calling me all kinds of names and all kinds of things like that. I don't take them on. So the Prime Minister, before he come out and want to point his fingers, he needs to sit with supporters and tell them to stop what they're doing. Because you give them no cause. I went to Digicel some time ago, and I was having a conversation with a lady who was accompanying me, and there was a Digicel employee in a Digicel t-shirt, and myself and my friend, we were talking about politics. And do you know that the woman attacked me? Inside
Lord. I hope you walk away, caller. I hope you said to her, listen, I'm not going to get into a disagreement with you on politics.
Yes, I will. Anyway, what I want to say, I got a news clip from the UK showing where we right now have some entry restrictions on all St. Lucians, all people holding St. Lucian passports. There's visual entry restrictions. I want to hear your take on that, because I remember some time ago there was word going around that the Prime Minister was summoned to UK to have meetings, and he came back and nothing, and the opposition making fuss. And look now what the article says, and restrictions on our passports. The same thing that he was denying, it's there now. So I want to hear your take on it, and maybe enlighten St. Lucians more on exactly what is going on with our passports in the UK. And I have a feeling very soon the European Union will do the same thing to us.
Well,
thank you, Nancy.
Well, caller, I have to say to you that I did a little bit of reading when I saw the notifications, and I did a bit of reading. Really and truly what it says, it speaks to the UK, and Canada has had it as well. What they've done, they've put in an ETA, meaning that it's almost like a pre-screening before you enter into the country. So you have to fill out an electronic form to indicate your date of travel, where you're going to be staying, how long you're traveling for, etc., etc. And it allows for the immigration authorities, I am assuming, to pre-check you or pre-screen you, so that it makes it a little bit less challenging for you when you enter and you're going through immigration. All your stuff is already processed, etc. So this is a standard thing, and it is not only applicable only to St. Lucia, but I recognize it's also applicable to most of the countries in the region, in the OECS, and the wider world. And this is going to be, I just want St. Lucians to understand as well, this is going to be the trend moving forward, Andre. The only thing about it is that it's for countries who have visa-free access. So if you need to have a visa, the visa is what allows for them to be able to monitor your entry and out. Because you have visa-free access, they also want to be able to monitor, so then they're going to be able to fill out that form. Two challenges you have with that. One is, you can't just wake up in the morning, go to your travel agents and buy a ticket to go to the UK. You have to fill out the ETA first and get approval. And that once they've given you that approval, I suppose, then you'll pay. Because if they don't give you approval, Andre, you now have to apply for a visa. So whilst there is visa-free access, let's say for St. Lucia, if Andre Paul applies for the ETA and he is denied for whatever reason, maybe they are suspicious of Andre, for hopefully not Andre, but they're suspicious of something and they deny it. If you really want to travel, your next step would be to apply for a visa, and then that is your other recourse. The second thing about it is now there's a fee to it. So while you would just wake up in the morning, buy a ticket to go to UK, nothing attached, there's a £10 I think fee attached to the ETA for traveling. So things are changing worldwide, and I suppose it is what it is. We have another caller. Thank you. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Nancy. Nancy, I wanted to say that it is the MO of the SLP not to know what to do with crime. You had a Prime Minister who was begging criminals to give us a break.
I remember that.
Now you have one that does not know what to do with crime because he's not the police officer his father is. Then you have a crime prevention minister who does not know how to prevent crime except to bring in all other agencies who are already dealing with crime prevention. This is a massive government, and it is slowly creeping into being, we are slowly creeping into being a massive nation. Nancy, can you tell me a little bit about Dr. Jean Leon and his position as ambassador at large? What is an ambassador at large, and what is the purpose of this man who has such a wealth of knowledge and who is so experienced and is so good that he cannot get a job on his own, that he cannot pivot his experience into job creation for St. Lucians, that the government has to create a job for him?
Well, thank you, caller. I don't know that an ambassador at large is a job. I think it is a privilege that has been extended to you. So he's probably going to be given an ambassador's a passport, etc. And he can use that to say that he's an ambassador at large, I am assuming, to bring investment to the country or something like that. Now, you heard what I said, caller. I am assuming. Because I have no idea what this is about. No clue. But again, to my mind, I'm telling you something. I have all due respect for Mr. Jean Leon. I have read his story from beginning to end in terms of what transpired at the bank. The starting, I read the matter, I read everything. And I do agree that somebody should have stood up for him. Not yesterday when you stood in Parliament as Prime Minister and say, we'll never allow that to happen again. But it happened. How you allow it to happen? You were Prime Minister when all these things were going on. You sat on the board of directors of the bank. You said nothing to defend him. Absolutely nothing to defend him. Nothing to stand up against what was happening to him. Today, you want to appeal to him. You want to go and kiss his toes. And you tell him, oh, I'm going to make you ambassador at large. Ambassador at large, my foot. What is it about? You should have stood up for him when it matters, Philippe J. Pierre. That's what we need to do. Stand up for. But no, you couldn't get any political gain out of it, so you didn't say anything. That's what it is. That's what it is. Pure nonsense.
You have another call.
Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling Mid the Opposition.
Hi, good morning, Nancy.
Morning, caller.
Good morning, Andre, and all your listeners.
Morning to you, sir.
Nancy, I am amazed that St. Lucian, including myself sometimes, with kind of surprise about the state of crime in St. Lucia. But we should always remember that the first act of this government, one of the first acts, was to expunge all the charges and convictions of the people who violated the COVID Prevention and Control Act. This sent a very, very loud and stark message to the wrongdoers and the criminals of St. Lucia that everything was open and everything was possible. All you had to do is to vote for a particular political party when you commit crimes so that they could expunge your offenses.
Well, caller, I'm so grateful that you were reminding us I had forgotten that one as well. I think you're very correct that Labour Party set the tone because that was the first thing they did when they came into office. First thing.
Because it starts with the leadership. The shepherd leads the way.
Agreed.
And the sheep follow. Now the sheep are following. And you know what the first thing the shepherd said was that I am not a shepherd. My dad was the shepherd.
So was he, a sheep?
He was
a shepherd's son.
The prime minister is a failed prime minister because he has abdicated his responsibility as the nation's leader and the minister of national security, to be more particular. And for example, he has also put on a balance lives and a few dollars. In the case of what is happening, all the murders, most of the murders in St. Lucia, a significant percentage of them is caused with firearms, illegal firearms. two of the most effective means of stopping illegal firearms from coming into the country was the scanners at the port and the canine unit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, these guys, they messed up the scanners because, you know, the message had already been sent out. We're expunging crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the police. Let me just take us back. Remember the government under the United Workers' Party administration, that they hired these, what we call COVID police COVID,
mm-hmm.
to ensure that people abided or complied with the COVID restrictions, you know, the social distancing, the wearing of masks, etc. Remember, these people lost their skin on the ground as they wrestled with people
mm-hmm.
who did not want to wear masks,
mm-hmm.
these young police officers. They fought to try to protect our lives in St. Lucia. But when the Prime Minister came in, he forgot about these people who fought to save the lives of St. Lucians. So you think these custom officers and police officers are going to put their lives at risk to arrest people for doing wrong, and then the Prime Minister will just unilaterally expunge the offenses? So the dogs, the Prime Minister made the nation believe that $40,000 a month was an exorbitant amount per dog unit. And of course, most St. Lucians, in our ignorance, agreed with him.
Yeah, because you see, they didn't explain, caller, that the $40,000 was not for the dogs. It was inclusive of feeding the dogs, training them, housing them, etc. And those of us who have dogs know how expensive it is to keep your dog. It is an expense.
Was the salaries for the dog handlers?
And the salaries and everything.
Everything else associated with it. Today, a few weeks ago, we buried a 13-year-old, well, I say we, St. Lucia, buried a 13-year-old boy called Mello from Deriso, who was the victim of people walking into the house and shooting him while his mother and his sisters cowered in fright in another room. This 13-year-old innocent boy died because of the neglect and the duplicity of the Prime Minister.
Agreed.
You know why? Because the guns that have been used to shoot these people are illegal. And those guns may have been detected by the dogs.
But Colin, let me tell you something. Let me ask you something. Have you heard Jeremiah Norbert, right? He's the Minister for Crime Prevention, but he's also the Minister responsible for persons with disability. And the father of Melo is a board member of the Council for National Council for Persons with Disability because he's blind. Have you heard Jeremiah say anything with reference to the death of that 13-year-old? Have you heard the Prime Minister say anything? So that's what I was telling Andre earlier. No outrage from these people at the high. You ever heard the Prime Minister spoke about that 13-year-old boy and speak to the outrage as to what transpired and what he's going to do? Nothing, nada.
But Nancy, you ever see oranges fall from a mango tree?
No, thank you.
Okay, the Prime Minister is not concerned about crime. If he was concerned about crime, he would do what he would do as a national leader, and then he would show compassion.
Agreed.
For the people, the victims of crime. His actions speak louder than his words, and his actions is, you don't. It's what's the word? His actions are quite clear. It's stark what he means. He doesn't care.
Caller, wrap it up because we have another caller on the line. Mm-hmm.
This is the same Prime Minister who, we have to remember those things, who organized the biggest march in St. Lucia in the middle of COVID.
Yeah. Lawbreakers.
Right? So these are the people we are dealing with. So if we want to control crime in St. Lucians, we have one step to make. Remove this government and replace it with a more responsible and a government that really cares about the people, not one who lies and got into office on the train of lies and deception. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you, caller. It's a good reminder.
Yes. So I did ask the Prime Minister that question as to why is it that he doesn't speak out more forcefully against the crime and so on. And he said that he's a person of action. Yeah, he's a man of action.
But what is the action?
That is what he says.
So what is the action, Andre?
Well,
Can you recall?
Providing the police with all the equipment and everything.
What equipment is that?
Well, I didn't ask him.
Because you see, what we've told St. Lucians. Sorry, you have the caller?
No, it's okay.
Okay. So what we've told St. Lucians deliberately is that, initially, St. Lucia was saying, feel free to call and share your stories with reference to crime or criminal activity, how it has impacted you and how it has impacted your community as well. Because I know some of you may have stories to tell about a family member, a friend, somebody you knew. So please feel free to call, because the Labour Party or the government is listening, and now is your opportunity to tell them how this thing is hurting you and impacting you. But good morning, caller. Thank you for calling Meet the Opposition.
Good morning, Nancy. Good morning, Andre.
Good morning, caller.
Very good program, Nancy, as usual.
Long time.
Yeah.
You good?
Nancy,
you good?
I'm good. I'm good. Just watching things. We're okay.
Okay.
Nancy, I want to compare, because that's what people usually do with governments, is to compare performance. Let's compare the crime situation in the Alan Chasney administration and the 3 years of Philip Pierre reign. I don't know how to call it.
But Kola, is there a comparison? The facts show that last year we had the highest murder rate ever in this country.
Thank you.
And this year we're already at 60. And if it continues, that we will surpass last year's. So the facts will show that under Philip J. Pierre as Prime Minister, that we've had the highest murder rate in this country. But this is not even what is it, the facts will also show that this is the most uncaring and clueless Prime Minister when it comes to crime and everything else in this country.
Let me tell you, Philip Pierre, you see the Bible tell you a cold-hearted individual. That is Philip Pierre. A cold-hearted man. He doesn't care.
Philip doesn't care about people.
All what Philip Pierre cares about, and he told it to St. Lucians to their face. His cabinet of ministers and the philosophy of them putting themselves before the country.
Protecting the victory, caller.
Caller. Did he actually say that the cabinet puts themselves before the country? I don't think so.
But that's how he put it. Andrew, we are adults.
No, but you said that's what he said, and he didn't say that.
He said that's the philosophy. What exactly did he say? The philosophy of his cabinet of men and women is what?
Caller, I'm saying to you, he didn't say that the cabinet puts themselves before the country.
Andrew, I am asking you.
But caller, go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead with your contribution.
Okay. Nancy, when Mr. Chasney was there, Philip Pierre said, if you talk to me about policies, I know about policies. When Mr. Chasney was there, what did he do for the crime? What did we see? The policies that he implemented to help curb the crime situation in the country. We saw he did the border control. We saw he came in with the K9 units. We saw he brought in the scanners. We heard about the CCTV or whatever cameras on the streets, right? We saw he gave the policemen a little additional vehicles or whatever. He fixed up the renovation of the police stations to give the policemen that strength of saying, well, yes, something is going to happen. What are we seeing with Philip Pierre? We would see Mr. Chasney come in and he would tell the nation to pray, to do this, to give you a form of comfort. What are we seeing with Philip Pierre, Nancy? What have we seen? What have we seen as a leader?
St. Lucians will answer that question. Because
what have we seen? What kind of comfort as a country? All you had a man coming to tell you is crime is escalating in Canada. You cannot compare St. Lucia a dot to Canada and the US Philippines. If you understand politics, you cannot do that. And by doing that, you're not even answering our questions. What are you doing to help curb the crime situation in St. Lucia? 3 years and you cannot give us an answer. And the crime is getting worse and worse by the minute. Not even by the day, by the minute.
Well, Kola, I don't know, questions to be answered. Thank you so much. We're about to wrap up. Do you have another call?
No, we have to wrap up.
Okay, so we're about to wrap it because it's almost 11 o'clock. But St. Lucia, it's another day and another challenge. And I think sometimes when I come here, I want to be able to come here, Andre, and maybe speak about hope and the future and the good things. And St. Lucia, I will say to you, I will be the first. If there are certain things that the government is doing that is good, like the old people say, super hadi bien padi mal, I will just not say anything. It's not my place to big up the government. They have the press and all the people to do that, etc. But I will not come out and criticize it either. But when it comes to the issue of crime in St. Lucia, and you do a comparison, there was a more strategic approach to crime during the Alan Chasney administration. What did Alan Chasney do? He went in depth to look at what were the issues surrounding what was happening and how do we fix them one by one. So we knew that, Andre, the illegal guns were coming in, and we recognized that our border was porous. Looked at it, we realized that all the radar systems were down, they were not working. So you fix it. So when vessels are coming in, you can take them. The Marine Police, they had boats, I think about 4 or 6 boats. These boats were down, no engine, basic things like that, you know. So what did he do? He ordered the engines, get the marine boats going so you can have patrolling on the sea. Then when we looked at land, how are these things coming in, Andre? Barrels, boxes, you know, these kind of things. So we said, okay, we're going to get those X-ray machines. So when these things come in, you can scan it so you can see what is coming. You know what they did? They poured water and they deliberately mash up the thing because they knew what was happening. We fixed it again, and you know it's damaged again, like it's still ranger. So we did that so that we could get the guns so you can stop the illegal guns coming in. Then we said, okay, at the airports, people might be coming in, so we got the dogs, Andre, sniffer dogs, so the dogs would, and the former commissioner gave you the stats as to how many weapons were recovered as a result of those dogs. When Labour Party come, they make a big policy because they say the money is flambeau and this, that, and the other $40,000. They made away with 2 dogs, Andre, and then they accept a donation from the French of 1 dog. That making sense? And then after all these things are happening, you tell me you had a commissioner who was acting, you put her there as a woman, you gave her no authority, you put a man there to undermine her. Today you put a new commissioner, 6 months, and you tell me you're serious about crime. St. Lucia government are power. And I am saying to you, look at it, analyze it. The time will come for you to make a determination. Compare and contrast. Compare. And I keep saying to y'all, the man that the Labour Party keep calling who's a white man, Alan Chasney, that white man that they call Alan Chasney has never treated St. Lucians the way the little black boy, that's what he call himself, the way the little black boy is currently treating St. Lucia. Worse. So in the final analysis, you make a determination. Who would you want as your leader? St. Lucia, be safe. I want you to think. I want you to analyze. I want you to make those decisions for yourself. And I am saying to you, speak out. Don't be afraid. Speak out. That is your country, your right, and your responsibility. This has been another episode of Meet the Opposition. Please be safe, drive carefully, take care of your family, and those of you who are able, let me advise you, this is the first time I'm saying that to you. Find a church and go to church over the weekend. Whether it be Catholic, Adventist, Pentecostal, whatever. Go somewhere where the word of God is being preached, taught, so you can listen, so that you can try and make some reflection and start off your life and your week on a better footing. Thank you very much. Till we meet again. Bye bye.
Thank you, Nancy. You've been listening to Meet the Opposition, heard on Rev Up St. Lucia every Thursday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So listen next week Thursday, same time, same station, for another Meet the Opposition. And with that, we come to the end of Wake Up and Live for today, Thursday, the 12th of September. Thanks so much for listening. We have Tony Paul coming on next. He'll be on the Rev Up Center. Then Zen the DJ takes over from 3 o'clock until 6. So that's what's happening between now and 6 o'clock this evening on Rev Up St. Lucia. Andre Paul, thanking you for listening. You can check me out tomorrow morning, God willing, from 5 o'clock for another Wake Up and Live. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.